Welcome back to the AoT Chronicles, an Attack on Titan podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chazzy Chaz.
I'm Ronny.
And I love saying welcome back to the AoT Chronicles. It's finally here.
Yeah, I do too. I'm so excited. Hence this little preview podcast we got going on. It's finally here.
Yeah, this is what I just said. I'm super excited to talk about...
Well, I mean, so I can't express my excitement? We're only here to talk about
Well,
yours?
you just kind of repeated what I said, so it's...
Well, except I laid the groundwork, told you what we were doing in this podcast.
You did.
Did you say that?
As my cohort, you did say that. You okay?
And you're dropping the word cohort because you felt real smart earlier because you used it correctly, and we looked up the definition, and it meant that you're basically antagonizing me. Don't think I didn't catch that, and I don't like it.
Well, you looked up the definition. That's the only reason you knew. I wish you didn't, because then I could use it and you wouldn't know that I was.
And it's kind of sad that you've been waiting 7 hours to open up the podcast so you could call me your cohort.
That's funny that you recognize that. But let's get into it. Let's stop arguing. You are my cohort, but today you're my buddy.
I appreciate that.
Let's get right into it. What do you want to talk about first? Obviously, we're doing the preview for Attack on Titan.
I mean, do you have any way of how you want to structure this thing, or we just go all over, dipping our hand into a bucket of paint and splattering it on the wall?
That's what we're doing. What I do want to talk about a little bit is we obviously both rewatched it. I just finished the rewatch yesterday.
Yeah.
I had watched like 10 episodes, and then it took me forever to get through the next 6 or whatever. But what did you think on the rewatch? Did you have any initial thoughts?
Yeah, I rewatched it as well. I took some notes, and nothing really stood out to where I was like shocked or amazed. I mean, still seeing Eren, as crazy as he is, that doesn't stop hitting so hard, especially since I'll say this. Travis has started a watch through, and so I've been rewatching a lot of Season 1 and some Season 2 with him. So it's jarring because at the same time I was also doing my Season 4 rewatch, just seeing how far the characters have come. You're like, oh my god, this
and especially
is crazy
Eren.
How much can happen in what's just... I mean, when things really start happening, less than 50 episodes in a way.
I would say going back when you watch seasons 1 and 2 again, I mean, it has been a while since I have rewatched it, but it has been a while. I appreciate where Eren is more right now and how it feels natural and it doesn't feel like it was forced to me.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it is a huge turn, and you could almost say when something like that happens, you're like, oh, that feels a little forced.
Right.
But then you see him as a little kid and how he really does act, and he's essentially has that same mindset. He's just calmer about it.
That's why I'm so torn. We talked about it a ton on the podcast. We'll talk about it more now. Just for myself. I don't even know what other people think. Developing my own opinion on whether or not Eren is really this far gone and crazy, or if he's doing this thing where he's putting distance between the people he cares about and he is kind of working towards this ultimate goal, or what. Because there's multiple things in Season 4. Near the end, you see him, telling Mikasa that he's always hated her. The fight with Armin. Just how dead he is in the last episode when he's talking with Peak, and we see him talking with Zeke, beforehand back in Liberia, and how he's game for the euthanization plan. But then we also get the little bit of reaction he has when he hears that Sasha's dead. How he talks to Gabby later on about Sasha. Real short stuff, but just be like, where's the girl that killed, or where's the little brat that killed Sasha? Yeah,
when he walks in the last episode, he's like, hey, brat who killed Sasha. Mm-hmm. It's like he always has to refer to her as that.
Yep. He's so over the top with Mikasa to where even when I was watching the last episode, even Jean, who I think we can both agree is probably like the best...
Got the best head on his head.
Best military lead, kind of. He's not as strategical as Armin, but he's still in the jail cell, and he's hearing what went down. He's even like, that's like too much. It's like it's almost like there's play at hand. Like,
yeah, he's like, does he have some? What the exact wording was like? Does he have some sort of secret meaning or something?
He's like the first person to kind of say it out loud, and then it gets interrupted. But I was like, they're putting it in there for you to interpret it that way if you want.
Yeah.
So.
And here's another thing going along with that: the episode where Eren is in the jail cell, and Hanji comes down to visit. He tells Hanji, he goes, listen, I ate the Warhammer and I can leave whenever I want. He's basically saying, I'm cooperating with you right now. He's like, so why are you coming over here and hassling me? Like, I could leave when I want, so what's the point of it? He's like, if you have some sort of better plan, then I'll do it. But at this point, he's basically saying, I don't think I have any other option, so I'm just going to go along with this.
So, yeah. I don't know something's definitely changed, because he is like, there's no way around the fact that he's killed innocent children, he's killing innocent people to get to his goal. And then you want to question,
and that's what takes us to Zeke. Okay, Zeke in season 3, we obviously know Zeke's plan now, but Zeke has as a kid, from what happened to him as a kid, he has like compassion for, I would say, children because of the way he was brought up. We see with Eren, he's always like, I'm coming back to save you. To talk basically, little brother, I'm coming back, I'm going to save you.
Yeah.
The fact that he kind of, when he's throwing the rocks in that one episode and he's like, oh, you're not like your father, you got to have fun with this. And he's killing all of them in Erwin's charge, and he's like having fun with it. What do you take from that after seeing this latest season?
Just in the sense of him doing what exactly?
Having fun, or not having fun, but trying to have fun while killing all of the Erwin's charge. What do you kind of get from that now that you know his ultimate goal? And do you think at this point he's just like, oh, if I kill a few hundred of these, it'll save the millions of lives? Or how does he look at that?
That's a good point. Well, he's got daddy issues. So there might be an aspect of him looking at these people and seeing, that these are the people that his father ran off to and was, trying to come back for him in a certain way.
Okay.
He'd heard about Eren. He hadn't necessarily seen him for himself and talked with him. Obviously, we get later on the whole, I'll come back and save you. But no, I mean, that's a good point, because he's definitely, he's trying to pitch a perfect game. So that seems like a little dark for someone who is trying to claim that they're just getting a job done and saving people.
Yeah, because he also says in it, he's like, it's a shame that, King Rice erased their memories. What was it? There was one other thing he said that I wish that I had. I actually just thought of this on the spot. I didn't have this written down. He talks about, why don't they just lay down? He's pretty much like, what are you fighting for? Why don't you just lay down and die? But that's kind of the mindset he has, is like, you're suffering already. You don't need to bring any more, I guess, lives into this world for them to suffer as well. Yeah. So I get that aspect of it, but when he's talking about pitching a perfect game and smashing people in the face, it's a little disturbing.
That's the problem. You can watch the Zeke episode like I did yesterday or whatever. See all that go through. See him talk to Tom, and then talk to Eren and lay out this euthanization plan, and you could feel yourself being like, it's sad, but that is the only plan. That is the perfect way. Short term, yes, fucking sucks. Long term, it's going to make everything better.
Yeah.
The
only thing it really sucks for is people like Mikasa and the young people that want to start a family and, live a long life. They don't get that opportunity, but they could still live a long life. If everything, with Historia and her baby goes well.
Right.
But they just can't, not being able to have kids. There's going to be so many people not on board with it, so you understand why they didn't tell other people.
Right.
But like you said, though, when it comes 200
and
years from now.
that's terrible, but it's not like, it's not even, you can still see, like, there's a good villain. You can see, like, I always say, like, Thanos is a good villain. I think that's one of the more recent ones, that because people are like, he's got what he's saying makes sense. You just can't kill half the world. That's fucking terrible, right? Whereas, or half the universe. Whereas this is even less bad than that. No one is physically losing anything other than what could be's.
Yeah.
And if you started realizing, a few years on, that would obviously suck and it would always be in the back of your mind, but you could find ways around it. You could come together as a community, and where you had the loss or the void of children, you could fill with just other people who didn't have it. Like, it's still terrible, but at the same time, you could work through it. Now, all of this is to say, and the other interesting thing is we still are not spoiled, thank goodness. And I know I never go anywhere other than talk to you or someone else about it. I don't know if it's like people widely say, oh, the euthanization plan in theory makes sense, or people are like, oh, that's terrible and we've got to stop Zeke and Aaron. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. I would assume,
because it's not like we can be on message boards and see what people are.
I would assume people are like, that's not a bad plan. That's what I would just assume, because it's really not. Now there is a couple flaws in it.
So that's what I was going to say.
If I wanted to talk about,
which is why, that's why I was saying you can start buying into it during Zeke's flashback episode. Then, when you're outside of that and you're seeing them, giving the wine to people and Falcon, and you're turning all these people into, Titans and stuff, and then it's like, well, you're trying to wipe out this entire island when you were saying the whole point of it was that didn't have to happen anymore.
Yeah, that is one of the flaws, because, I mean, if you think in the grand scheme of things, maybe a couple hundred people drank the wine. If you're saving, you got to think, I don't know how many people are on the island at this point. There's a shit ton of Eldians still. What is it, like a few 100,000? They said the number after?
Yeah.
So really that's small in the grand scheme of things. And then you go to Marley. You've got all the ones in the tournament zone. You have some in tournament zones around the world. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're not killing off too many. But I would say the flaws that he does have is that they're using the rumbling as a deterrent, like a half. They talked about like just sending out a few of the colossals or whatever. Now, what makes you think that the world is not going to attack anyways, even if they send out a few of them? And also, what makes you think that when you're feeding, because they said in 100 years it'll be wiped out. So you got 13 years, you got to feed Founding Titan to somebody, 13 years. 13 years later, you feed it again. What makes you think that one of those Founding Titan people won't be like, well, I want us to have kids and have like a revelation and then just reverse it?
Yeah.
So there's a couple flaws there.
Which is very likely to happen, because it's as someone says when Yelena goes and tells basically Armin and all of them the plan. It's like Jean or someone. They say, what happens when everyone on this island's 50 years old and we're all susceptible to, like, no, there's no army force. There's no military. And it's like, yeah, what's to stop anyone from just coming over here and taking it, and then everyone's dying anyway. Like, it's not.
And that's another, you talking about Jean having a good head on his shoulders. He said that about Aaron, and then he immediately says that. He instantly thinks of like, wait a minute, I'm already finding flaws in your logic 5 seconds into thinking about it. So, but what other options really are there is what it comes down to.
Yeah, there's not, outside of the fact that, because then someone else says it, or I think it's Peak when she's leading Aaron on, and Gabby's hurt that she's like, oh, you're a traitor too, and she goes up to her, and it's funny that Peak was just leading Aaron on, because I forgot how good she does. Like, you can believe everything she says. Like, she's thought it through. And the fact that she's not actually buying into it when she says, face it. Other countries are catching on. The time of the Titans is almost over, and when that's over, Marley's just going to kill all of us anyway.
Yep. And it also makes so much sense too when later on in that episode, Aaron transforms. They smoke him out. You see Reiner and them in the Zeppelins, and then she goes, "You really think I would sell out my comrades?" She goes, "I don't trust in Marley, but I trust in the people I fight alongside with." It makes so much sense. There comes a point that's like in all of history. Like obviously World War II, there was many people that were fighting on evil sides, you could say. But a lot of those comrades that they had weren't necessarily evil, and they can't just stop fighting with them.
Right. And that's a good point, too, because Peak also, her point of view is she's got very limited time to begin with. Her dad sounds like that's her only family. Yeah. And after that, she's got no one else other than, I guess, the companions that she's talking about now to worry about. So she's just like, I'll go out like this, which is dark, but,
it's just so genius how it's come down to. Gigic he's had a whole video on. I
don't like plugging other people's.
We're not gonna plug him, but
no, I'm just kidding. We're not those guys. Let's name 20 content creators we like right now that people should listen to instead of us.
The only reason I say that, he's like the famous YouTuber guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of listeners have listened to him. He has like a video on the last season being good, and he was saying you don't know who is the bad guy, but you also don't even know at this point who you want to survive and how you even want it to end. It's done such a good job of there's not like a good side really, besides maybe like my girl Hanji. I hope my girl Hanji.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure I get your point, but when you say it that way, it's like, well, no, I know who I want to survive. I want Armin, Mikasa, Hanji. I want the scout team to survive, but at the same time, I'm also saying I see the euthanization plan and why they can't continue to go on the way they're going on. But for this story, I don't want to see anything happen to them.
So let's bring it to this point then. I can bring it. You said Mikasa and Armin. Eren, I'll bring it back to Eren. Why I think Eren might be semi-good still is because that was another Phil situation. Yep. Is because the owl said, from a future memory, to save Mikasa and Armin, you must complete this mission.
Yep.
He wouldn't say that if somehow whatever future memory he saw wasn't.
Guess what, ladies and gents?
Paths. So that maybe he is still. I mean, I don't think he necessarily is a good guy. He's not a good guy, but maybe he still has semi-good intentions.
He may just be the devil we need.
As Flock would say.
Yeah.
Yes. And I fucking love Flock.
All right. And so I was feeling real stupid at some point, and I either need you to just tell me what I'm missing for some reason, and I'll just edit it out later, or I'll keep it in. Do we know what were we waiting for with Aaron and Zeke when they get together? They've got what they need to do the euthanization plan. Do they not? Why do they not do it?
So that's a good question.
There's a few lines or whatever where they say there's another, like Yelena says it. She's like, and there's something else, but
what I take it as is, I know Aaron says, I believe it's when he gets on the Zeppelin escaping Marley, he goes, or no, Zeke says it. He goes, we just destroyed Marley's fleet. We pretty much wiped out almost their entire military. This now buys us time. And we took away their, basically their secret key to their secret weapon, the Warhammer Titan. We now took that away too. Mm-hmm. Marley can't attack us and take us over. Now we have the royal Titan with royal blood, and we have the founding Titan, and Marley's pretty much defeated. There's nothing that's going to stop us.
Right, but they had that in Liberia, right?
They did.
Because all you need is Aaron and Zeke together, right?
I guess, but then I think about it. Well, maybe they need to be at the walls to do the partial rumbling, and then does Zeke? This is another good point. Does Zeke still not really trust Aaron at this point? Because we know that as Tom Sava or whatever his name is, he told Zeke that you
gotta trust, yeah.
When you touch whoever is the founding Titan, you don't have anything to do with it. They have all to say.
Yeah.
So maybe Zeke doesn't really trust him yet either.
No, that's all good points too. It was just, once again, when you're watching that episode and you're hearing them talk about it, and then later on you're seeing all the trials and tribulations they're going through, and Zeke's in the forest of giant trees with Levi being like, well, when can I see Aaron? Like, he just wants to get the show on the road. You're like, well, wait, they were together. Why? What else is at play?
And that's when I almost thought, before the episode where Zeke's like, we can't make contact yet, I was thinking, oh, they've already done some path shenanigans, and they've already kind of got this figured out in the paths. But then he says we haven't made contact yet, so I'm like, oh, I don't really know.
Which is that's worrisome, because I've said, there he is. I've said for a long time now, my biggest fear at the end of all of this is some 5 to 10 minute exposition explaining away of what's been going on in paths, and that's why it ended the way it did. Aaron knew this, Zeke knew this. They couldn't trust each other or something like that.
Yeah, it is scary. And the reason I say it is scary is because obviously the owl, he got future memories somehow. That scares me that Zeke or somebody also got future memories. Like, how did the owl know to save Mikasa and Armin? We got to figure that out. That's like I feel like that's the number one thing we got to figure out. And and just Aaron's mind. We still don't really know Aaron's mind right now. Aaron's mind is like season 3, The Basement. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about Aaron's mind. We've waited so long to figure out The Basement. We need to figure out Aaron's mind.
We need to figure out Aaron's mind. Someone's got to have the key. So that's speaking of Armin. Armin's in the paths. What? Now his paths are Bert's paths, which we don't know much about the Colossal before Bert, but
I imagine that's a lot of jerking off.
It's just a bunch of Annie. But the reason I bring him up is because the last episode's still fresh in my mind or whatever. Yelena talks about the euthanization plan, basically what she's fighting for. And there is a 10-second scene where Armin is breaking down in tears, covering his face. And they're like, what is going on? And he's like, oh, it's just so noble that's what you've been thinking or whatever. And then shit starts going down outside, and it's just weird.
It's
man.
So suspect.
It's just
so suspect.
So weird, man.
It makes me think he knows how fucking crazy Yelena is, and he's trying to play her.
Well, yeah, it's like path. Does he see something in his path where he's like, the way I gotta help is I gotta get her to trust me or her to buy into whatever I'm spinning.
Yeah, because she is. Everyone else is thinking of this. They've got their friends and family they're fighting for. Yelena is looking at this like she's in the Bible and she's a prophet of the God. Yeah, that's what she's looking at this whole thing like, and it's just scary. She's terrifying. But then that brings me, so I'll take this. One of my main notes that I have is it's one of the flashback episodes. I guess there's so much action in season 4 that when it goes to the flashback, I might not have been paying attention as much as I thought I was.
Okay.
And it's in the episode where the train scene. They're building the train, and then then he talks to him on the train.
Everyone was there. Mikasa was carrying 30-foot steel beams.
That's another great scene. Rewatching this, I noticed Sasha steals the water from Armin Did you see that in the background?
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And she like dumps her head in it and like drinks all the water.
Sasha.
Such a good,
What a goofy girl.
But before it's right when they're building it and
building another Phil Field situation.
Phil.
I gave you the bug, man.
You did. You fucked me up. But Hanji comes riding up on a horse, and she talks about making a base and meeting the people in Marley. Did you see that?
She says, say it again.
She goes, what we can do, she goes, the Osmabitos, she talks about them, they're like,
yep,
they're a no-go. They're not going to...
Yep, the Ozma give me a Betos.
Yeah, the Ass and Mojitos, she's like, no, Ass and Mojitos isn't working out. They're not going to make... They tried to make trade relations with other countries, which is a great way, if you think about it, to get people to like you. You trade your resources away. That's an awesome thing.
So you're saying, when you're thinking about this, Kiyomi asked me for Cheetos is trying to trade some stuff.
Yes. Well, not her. Hanji was trying to say, let's build trade relations with other countries. There's obviously a lot of countries. They said no because they're greedy. They wanted the resources for themselves. The ass and... What did you say?
I said, Kiyomi asked me for Cheetos.
Ask me for Cheetos, yes. Sure, yeah, she's basically asking for Cheetos and resources. But she says, why don't... And I think Mikasa says something along the lines of, yeah, no other country's going to trade with us anyways because they don't know who we are. They just think we're devils. That, you know, they're just assuming. And then Hanji goes, well, why don't we just make a base in Marley and meet them? And everyone's like, wow, that was a good idea. Jean, I think, says, you know, Hanji's always got a plan, like, for stuff like that. We never saw that. We saw Jean in episode 1 reading the newspaper, but we never saw them meeting the people of Marley. I think that's something we have to see is a flashback of them, because they obviously made the base. Jean was there.
Well, we think, and we're pretty sure.
We
don't know.
I'm like
for
99% sure because if you look at his like facial
I
impressions,
agree. I remember we were on it from episode 1 or whatever. But the fact that I'm trying to remember how he came in when all the ODM gear started coming, it wasn't like they showed him coming from. That would have been kind of a cool little nugget if they put it in there. But
and this train scene was 2 years before the attack even happened. So they could have gone to Marley for a week 2 years ago to meet these people and then just come back and be like, well, that was a fail. Like,
so that's all fair. I'm with you so far. What is the benefit? Where do we go from there?
The reason I say that is because they actually get to meet non-Eldians besides the Ass and Cheetos. And so they get to meet Marley people, talk to them. Because that's what the way Hanji put it. I was like, they wouldn't have added that in there unless they actually did that. Like, that's why would they talk about? Oh yeah, we're building a base in Marley, and then just never talk about it again.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, just not thinking about it long. I feel like I can remember too many conversations of them being like, or people saying like, everyone hates us and we haven't done anything. Maybe that was earlier on. They haven't said that in present time. I don't know. I can't remember, but...
And then also, because this is another point I thought of, where is Eren even sending the letters? He's not sending it to Paradise Island. There's got to be some sort of base that he's sending the letters to. So
no, that's good.
I just feel like that's something, when I read that, I was like, I don't even
But then
remember.
It's also weird because Eren straight up...
But then he went off on his own. So it's like, what actually happened? I don't know.
Yeah, you very much get the feel that, well, I don't...
That's why I think they've got to... There's too many questions there to not show some of it.
I'm not trying to poke holes, but then it's also... It makes me wonder if he was sending those letters to part of the anti-Marleyan group, and they were reporting it back.
That's true. But then also, how are they shipping from there to there without being noticed?
Yeah, I mean, that's... Fair enough. Paths.
He was sending letters in the paths.
Interesting.
I feel like that's something that's got to get answered. Well, I say gotta. If it's not answered, it's not a big deal, but there's also a lot of
I mean,
questions
the ultimate end of that is you're saying that they've got more help than we think?
Maybe, yeah. But I just thought it was weird that she would talk about, we have a base there, we're going to go meet them. That's her words, we're going to go meet them, and then they just never talk about it again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that would be there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think what she's basically saying, just because of the whole episode 1 with Jean, she's saying at some point in those 2 years, they actually went over there before they went and attacked them and actually met them, is what I think.
Just did some campaigning with citizens.
I don't know what she means by that. Because
yeah, maybe. All right. What else we got here?
All right, and then we can keep talking about that episode where the train scene.
Oh, you got more?
Aaron on the train. Him talking about, you guys, who's going to eat him in a couple of years.
Who's taking over the Titans.
Yeah. And then he goes, I don't want y'all to take it because I want y'all to live long lives.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened to him after that? He does not seem like that guy anymore. 2 years after that, and he's like, Sasha dies, he kind of laughs about it, but then he does seem upset. But also, he beats the fuck out of Armin. Like, what happened in 2 years?
Well, and I think Connie said he laughed. I don't think... If he laughed, it was like a happy laugh, because if you guys don't remember, she said meat. That was her final words, her epic send-off, so...
Which I thought was kind of cool.
That's like if someone came to me and, heaven forbid this happened, right? But they say, they say Ronny, Chaz was in a terrible accident. We found him. He was, half of him was laying on the side of the road. He was brutally disfigured. He was not breathing well. It was his fault. He was definitely the cause of the accident. And he had some final words. I said, "Oh, what were they?"
They're like, he got hit by a car while on his Heelys.
And they're like, we really can't stress it enough. This was really his fault. He was doing some very stupid shit. Yeah, that's the Chaz I know. And then they say, or I say, did he have any final words? They say, yes. He said, guava ice. I would go, like I would laugh, but I would also be heartbroken, right? Because, you're my cohort. So I would, that's when Aaron did that. That's exactly what I would do. I couldn't help but laugh, but I'd be heartbroken.
They're like, the first time he said it, we couldn't understand it, so he said it clearer, and it was guava ice.
Guava ice.
That's a good point, dude. If someone said meat to me right before they died, it would be hard not to laugh.
Flip his script, except, if I was in that situation, it wouldn't have been my fault. I'm a very responsible person. I wouldn't have put myself in that situation. Someone else put me in it. But they say the same thing to you, and did he have any last words? Yeah, he said honey buns.
And then I go, no, I don't. At first I go, did he use plural? Did he say buns or bun?
And then they just do this. They go, what do you think? and you make this noise. That's so Ronny. He's gone.
Which, in Aaron's defense, though, his laugh was, it was kind of diabolical. Is that the word? I don't know.
And maybe it's because that's one of the things I've hooked onto as giving it some hope, along with what Jean was saying. But
I mean, we did see, what was it, season 2?
Just even rewatching it, I really looked for it. I'm like, no, and then like I said, the way he talks to Gabby afterwards, it's like he keeps his cool for the most part, but there's 5% of him where deep down he's like, no, I can't stand that, but I must move forward.
Because he did laugh when Hannes died, but it was a way different, hysterical, crying laugh.
Hey, he's a crazy person.
He is.
He's a crazy person, so.
You almost, season 3, for some reason, makes you forget how crazy Aaron really is. That was like the most normal he's been, even though he was still crazy in that season too. Because he punched himself in the face that season.
He did. He did. Yeah, so speaking of Titans stuff, let me get your take on this and who's getting Titans. Historia was put to the sideline last season.
Yeah. I've got a name for that, but...
Yeah, it's a dirty name. We don't like it. There's talk of... I mean, she straight up says before she ships off to a farm, she's like, yep, I'll inherit the Beast Titan. Do you think Historia ends up getting a Titan?
I think her...
Here, let's do this. Well, okay. I'll still do it this way. Yeah, okay. I'll just, instead of giving you choices, give me the top 2 picks out of anyone that you would put your money on getting Titan powers.
I think 1,000,000,000,000%.
Historia, Gabby, Falco, all the scouts.
I think 1,000,000,000,000%. The fact that Falco's drank the wine means he's getting one, because he will. If Zeke yells and is anywhere near him, he's turning into a mindless Titan. So yeah, I think that's one of the obvious choices. Second pick would be Historia, because she has royal blood. But then the fact that she got pregnant is almost like she did that on purpose to not have to do it. But then you think, well, what made her change her mind from that time frame? We've not even heard her talk in present form yet.
Right.
So who even knows what she thinks at this point? I get, honestly, it doesn't even matter what she thinks, because they're not going to turn her into one at the moment because she's pregnant, or did she have the baby? Is that the take?
Well, I don't think we've seen her have the baby yet.
But was she? But she had to have it, because at least,
I mean, she was close. Last time I remember seeing her, she was getting ready to pop.
You would almost think she had to have it because Yelena said she was blessed with an heir, and if she didn't have the baby and Zeke and Aaron went through their plan, then she wouldn't have the baby, because she wouldn't be able to, unless their plan doesn't work because she's already pregnant. You know what I mean?
Well, they haven't done the plan yet.
Okay.
So, but I mean, you're just right.
But going according to plan, she would have had to have it. They would have to do it after she has the baby.
So I'm trying to remember now. She doesn't even. Does she know about the euthanization plan? I'm trying to remember. They're in the courtroom, and I've rewatched this, and I can't think why. How did they pitch it to where they said, to where she agreed? Yes, I know. I'll inherit the Beast Titan. I'll have kids or whatever. And they said, and when they've got the Titan, they have to produce as many children as they can.
Well, that was when the Anal and Chorizos, they talked about, they were like, Zeke has three points to his plan.
And it was just royal blood. That's why.
It was, a royal blood must inherit a Titan and have as many babies as possible.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then we use the partial rumbling to make sure no one attacks, and then we build the strength of the military while that happens.
That was definitely the. It's just all about the royal blood.
And that was the fake plan, Zeke's fake plan, because obviously he had.
It's the fake plan that set everything up to where things actually need to be for the real plan. So that's the other thing. What if Historia doesn't go along with this?
Well, has she already gone along with it by getting pregnant? Is what I'm thinking. Because Aaron talked to Yelena before he went to Marley, and then Zeke goes, so Yelena told you about the euthanization plan. He's like, are you on board with it?
Right.
So we know that Aaron knew about it before he even went to Marley. Did he talk to Historia too?
Who's the dad?
Who's the dad? And at this point, does it even matter who the dad is?
Not necessarily. Except for,
because she has the royal blood, so even if it was Chaz Chart that impregnated her, that kid would still have royal blood, you know?
Yeah, what? That's really battling against some odds. There's many other things that could go wrong with that child.
Yeah, it's partial retardation.
All right.
It's one of them.
All right. And then who is the woman that Zeke sees in his edge of life visions?
I think I said that on the thing before, and I won't say I got spoiled, but seeing the trailer
Ruined it for you?
For seeing the trailer made me be like, oh, that's who it is.
Okay. So we don't have to talk about. I have not seen the trailer. You've seen it once.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, I've got some other basic stuff here.
I've got a good one. Unless you want to go.
This one's kind of silly, so I'll go ahead and say it. I was getting real in my feels here and really scheming some stuff. What if we deafen Falco?
So he doesn't have to hear Gabby's cunt voice, or what?
No, dude. So he doesn't hear Zeke yell.
Oh, good point. They just cut off his ears?
Yeah, what if we just snap...
Dude, that's the most genius thing you've ever heard. Or you've ever heard. Ever said.
Well, yeah, I'm hearing it, but Falco's not.
Yeah, he's not hearing shit.
Yeah, what if we just deafen him so he can never hear it?
Dude, that is a great point. I never once thought of that.
He's just standing there smiling next to Zeke as he's just screaming at the top of his lungs, and Falco's just killing it.
Where is Falco right now?
Falco is... Let's kind of... Yeah, this is good. Let's gather up where everyone's at.
He's in the prison with Mikas and them, right?
No.
No?
He's in that building. He hears stuff. I'm trying to think what...
I don't know where he is.
He's in the building because he hears stuff going on, but I'm trying to remember who he's with.
Is it Pixis? It might be Pixis.
It might be like Nile and them. They're all kind of sitting around.
So Mikasa, everyone's in the building. At least we know that.
Except for
Hanji. Hanji's with Flock, right?
Yes.
To find Zeke, and that's the only one not in the building is Hanji, and obviously
Zeke and Levi.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because obviously our crew is imprisoned.
Where does Annie come into play? Is it at this point? Is it just like a cool thing? Eventually, she gets loose. It's a nostalgic. Oh, we get to see the female Titan again, and it can kind of be, later on, maybe someone gets the female Titan, and there's a changing of guards, but.
Yeah, that one I couldn't. I don't know where that's headed. That's like you said, you were worried about that one. I kind of am too at this point. What has she been in that crystal for? Like 4 years, 5 years?
But I'm actually a little bit more positive on that now, just because I do feel like at this point it's not story wise, other than just there being another Titan in the mix. I don't see how it's. She's been in it for so long. The entire plan has changed. It's just going to be another Titan running around. And maybe some Armin stuff.
That's crazy if she comes out of that crystal and sees Commander McGath, who she hasn't seen in God knows how long, with the whole whatever Marley fleet is left, and then just Reiner and Peak fighting with. She's going to be like, what the fuck? Like, what has happened? Versus Eren.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
But paths, she might completely know what's going on.
Yeah. If Armin would have just touched her, I was really hoping for that.
All right. So what did you have before I came up with that awesome theory that we deafen Falco? Which we need to start thinking about. How has no one thought about that?
That's a great point. Whoever's with Falco, I guess it's Pixis.
Pixis. I mean, let's do it to Pixis too, because I'm sad to lose him. Oh God,
you're right.
I mean, he's definitely
and Nile.
I mean.
But
it might be too late. It might just straight up be Pixis might be half Zeke right now because we know how that guy drinks. It might not matter if we deafen him, we blind him, we put him 50,000 feet under the sea. If Zeke sneezes, Pixis might turn into a Titan.
Pixis, I can see Pixis right now. He finds out that he drank the wine. He's like, you got any more of that shit? Let me just go ahead and guzzle it down. But no, another point I had was Flock. My boy Flock.
Woo, Flock!
A character we've been ride or die for this entire time.
Hasn't done anything wrong.
I'm so confused on this. I mean, there's so many.
Another just great moment. We've talked about this multiple times. Someone, I don't remember which one of us it was really shitting on him near the end of season 3 for being part of a big moment. If you had gone back and told that person at a certain time that in our season 4 part 2 preview, Chaz brought up a point that we needed to talk about for the ending of the show, and he just went like this. He went, Flock.
Hands in for those of you that can't see, that aren't watching our camera video that we don't have, I put both of my hands in the air when I said Flock.
And he opened his eyes wide and just went, Flock. We forgot about him. Let's talk about it.
First off, I'll say if anybody's going to be the next founding titan, it's Flockery Forrester. And then second, is he on board with this euthanization plan? Because why the fuck would he be when all he's talked about, the only things he said in season 4 besides being a straight up asshole, which I love, is you're the hope for the new Eldian Empire. There's no Eldian Empire if you kill off every Eldian.
Right.
So
yeah, Flock is pretty much behind Eren. I think you're right. Flock's behind Eren just because Eren gets shit done and Flock likes that.
You think he's kind of got like a hard-on for him?
Well, I just think everyone else he's so used to, the island just sitting back waiting for stuff. And he's like, oh, Eren will get the job done. I like that in a guy.
He's like, Eren will take his shirt off and get some shit done.
But talking about it this way, you ready for my prediction? Eren kills Flock.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually love that.
That is the perfect way for that character to end. The guy that he was just all about, and Eren has just used him this whole time to help get shit done, and he kills him.
And it would be even better if it was Eren in his human form. Like, he just walks up and just shoots him in the face.
He might.
Oh, man, I haven't thought about that. That's one of my favorite things that you said.
Thank you.
Eren just walks up shirtless and shoots Flock in the face.
God, we joked about it once again a lot during the podcast. Going back and looking at it, it's so ridiculous. Ridiculously funny, I should say. How incredibly hot they made Eren.
I know.
It's so funny. He's so fucking hot. Are you kidding me?
He's so hot, dude.
Holy shit.
You ask me who's
God.
the most fuckable character in the show. I don't even think twice about it.
Why? There's no, is that what he looks like in the mangas? There's no way.
You know why, though. His mom is Carla Yeager.
Oh, I get it. He's got the traits that he needs, but it's just so funny going back and looking at it. He's a bright-eyed young man, but he has just got it all going for him nowadays.
He is a 20-year-old cocky douchebag with just cum gutter abs.
He's got the perfect tan you'd want.
Yeah.
He's rocking the long hair perfectly.
Oh, in the bun. Oh, it's beautiful in the bun.
The look in his eyes, just the voice. If Zeke can turn people into titans, Eren can just talk and just get someone wet. Because it is just devoid of all emotion in all the right ways. It's hilarious. I was just rewatching season 4, and when he's in the prison cell and it's just dripping with water, and when he's walking,
and
incredible.
Hanji even says, she's like, your hair is really cool like that.
We may or may not have purchased some form of merchandise.
Oh, may or may
that
not
is
have.
based purely off of Eren's looks.
We've made, multiple merchandises.
Don't want to spoil it, but here's a little tease. You bought this 4 months ago. It hasn't shipped yet. It wasn't supposed to ship until January, so we're not worried yet.
But once it hits February, I'm a little worried.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so funny. Okay.
Let me make sure I don't have any more flock points. Flockery. There's a lot of flockery going around.
All right. While you're doing that, I'll get some through. I only have a couple more here. You want to know my first note that I took? The first note I took once I started my rewatch of season 4.
Yes.
This is first 3 minutes of watching season 4. It just says, "Colt is dead. What is the point of him?"
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. That's one of my notes. Is
Really?
One of my notes is Colt dies because his parachute doesn't deploy. That would be the greatest thing.
I mean, he's fine. He's just, what is he doing here? You know, that poor guy. What is?
He, out of all the people, I kind of feel sorry for him the most. He got bamboozled so hard. He's supposed to be the next Beast Titan.
I feel like that guy walks in to his duties every day like it's his first day on the job, and he doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He's just, someone's telling him to go over there, so he goes over there.
Yeah, he's just looking for Falco at all times. No idea where he's at.
And he's also like, no, this is so great. He's like riding the Zeppelin, and he's like sitting in the corner kind of, and he's been thinking about this the past 3 months, but he doesn't want to say it out loud because he's afraid like McGath is going to just fucking work him over. But he so badly wants to just do this right here. He wants to go, so am I getting the Beast Titan? Well, where do we stand on me getting a Titan? Or is that still happening? Or so badly?
Dude, that's actually a great point. Would they just give him like?
Does he just fall in?
He gets peaks or liners. That's a great point.
But you know, it's all not a single person has once thought, "Oh, Colt's thinking about that," or "We got to tell Colt what our new plan for him is." But he's afraid to say anything, so he's just like, "Oh, yeah, I'll go grab lunch. That's fine. That's cool."
You said chili, right?
Oh, we're getting on the Zeppelin. We're going. Okay, yeah, let's go get Falco. Come on, let's go do it.
Oh my god! Because one of those episodes, he literally just runs around. It's when Marley gets attacked. He just runs around Liberia looking for Falco the entire time. Did you know?
Yeah.
He like shows up randomly when Gabby and Falco are aborting the airship. He like finally finds Falco, and then Falco just zooms off.
He's just like, see ya, Colt. And then they're in the meeting later when they're all trying to be like, no, we've got it. And he's like, well, we're waiting that long to go get Falco? And no one even hears him, I feel like. And then Reiner says why we actually have to go. He's like, oh, thank God for Reiner.
Oh, man, that guy's so dead. I wouldn't be surprised. Either his parachute doesn't deploy or he has a heart attack before he goes out.
It's for one more big moment between him and Falco, and he's gone.
You think that's...
Yeah, they'll get something out of the Falco stuff, but it just makes me laugh. Literally, from the very first second that he comes and picks up Falco in the very first scene when Falco's talking about, and here's this again, flying through the air with a sword. I'll say it again. He woke up from a hallucination/dream like Aaron did season 1, first episode, flying through the air with a sword. And when he did that, I went, oh, Colt is so dead.
He's so dead. So are you saying Falco
I don't know.
Aaron?
But why would you open up season 4 like that? Do we remember what Aaron said season 1? What exactly?
He had those hallucinations. One of them was the smiling Titan picking up his mom.
Okay.
Another one was like it biting Hannes's legs, and then something else. And then he wakes up and he's like, I just had the longest dream ever. It felt real. And then he's like crying. And Meek says, why are you crying?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is another, okay. Him doing that in episode 1 and the owl saying that makes you think that Aaron did see the future in that dream. Mm-hmm. He saw moments of the future. Has he seen moments of the future presently?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean,
I'm sure he doesn't have all the pieces, but he's got like enough.
Yeah, at this point, they've done so many of those flat, like random things that you would imagine that he does.
You don't talk like that if you haven't seen some shit.
Yeah, which is kind of depressing. It's kind of depressing that it happens in the first episode and he's crying, which makes you think that it
doesn't end well.
Doesn't end well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Here's another great point I have to add up. This character, we haven't talked about him yet. I don't know if he's good, bad.
Oh, have we got another Phlox on our hands?
I don't know what this Anya Capone.
Okay.
I feel like he really does like the Scouts, and he's not 100% on board with Yelena.
Feels like he's flipped sides about 50 times.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there though.
If he's on anyone's side, I do think it's Hanji. I don't think that he cares about others.
You don't, but he's not one of those that's like a Flock and is 100%. I'm right here with Flock's 100% with Aaron. I don't think he's 100% with Yelena because he's surprised when Yelena shoots that guy.
Well, it's hard to be 100% with Yelena because she's a crazy person.
That's true.
She's a crazy person who's got a following God complex. No, I think he's kind of a guy who fell into the role because he was one that got screwed over just like Yelena did, but isn't so much in love with Zeke. So I don't know.
I kind of like his character though. It adds a little to the Jaegerists.
Yeah, I'm fine with him. I don't have a problem with him. I don't. He's one that I'm like, oh, I don't need too much time with him because I care about more stuff. But he could definitely have some good moments.
What's another? There was one scene with him where I was which really made me kind of change. I think it's when he's talking with Hanji and he's like, "Yeah, Yelena, she killed a lot of people that was close to us." He said something along those lines. He's like, she's the one that got her hands dirty. I really believe him when he says that. I don't think he did. He was the one that killed any of them.
Right.
I think he was just with Yelena.
Because I could say that the last time we saw him, he was outside of the jail cell telling them that, like, when they were like, oh, you weren't on our side. And he was like, well, yeah, you're a prisoner just like I was a prisoner. You guys made me a prisoner.
Good point.
But about 25 seconds later, Yelena shot a guy in the skull at point blank range, so he might have just been saying what he felt like he needed to say.
Good point. He doesn't want to get capped.
No.
Oh God, she is so crazy, man. The way she talks about Zeke and Aaron, I'll talk about that again. Like talking about her being like a prophet. I think she really thinks that she is like a prophet for them, and she's like, does she know what's already about to happen too? That's another path Yelena. She's not an Eldian.
Rolling my eyes.
No. I'm saying, is she so close with Zeke? Zeke is in that past shenanigan.
No, because I refuse to believe that.
You don't think Zeke cares?
Zeke looks at her as anything more than a pawn.
Okay.
That follows every little thing he says. I'm sure he tells her a lot of stuff, but he doesn't tell her a single thing that she doesn't need to know to help him do what he needs her to do. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Because she's crazy. And surely, if Zeke can be crazy in his own way, but Zeke's smart. He's a smart crazy, and I don't think that he...
All right, that's what we'll lead into now. I wanted to talk about Zeke. Zeke is a genius. After watching the show...
Wonder Boy.
The Wonder Boy Zeke. I love that nickname. He is a straight up genius. And even as a kid, it shows it. It shows him playing along with his grandpa and his dad. The fact that he's like 10 years old and is able to decipher that he needs to, when he's with his dad, say everything his dad wants to hear, and when he's with his grandpa, say everything his grandpa wants to hear, so his grandpa's not suspicious of him and his dad.
Yep.
Makes him, at that age, already way above any other person that age.
Mm-hmm.
and then everything that he did, obviously, when he's old now, he got the ass and Cheetos involved.
Yep.
With trade relations. He played Marley like a fiddle. He then plays the whole Eldian military like a fiddle.
Yep.
He's a straight up, he's a genius. He might be the smartest character in the show.
Yes. But the reason I'll say he's not, I think he's so smart that he might be digging himself in a hole.
Why do you say that?
He's so focused on getting to what he thinks he needs to do to get into his plan. And think about everything that you just said. He's gotten over on everyone.
Oh, so the one time that he does, you're saying,
and
he's almost not cocky, but since everything has worked out according to plan, he thinks that everything in the future will too, but something's going to happen where it doesn't.
We were talking earlier about how they were saying, or you made the point that just because we start off this plan and whoever has the founding titan goes along with it, what's to say 6 founding titans down the road, they're not like, well, let's change this, let's have different kids. Who's to say that Zeke, who was talking with Tom and said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do, right before he got the titan, is saying the same thing 11, 12 years later, and his plan hasn't changed at all. We were talking about or Tom saying, make sure you completely trust who has the founding titan, talking about Aaron. What if Aaron also has to completely trust Zeke in a way, even though Aaron does have the founding titan, he's kind of got the final say, but...
That's a good point. The only reason I say him keeping Tom's glasses this entire time makes me think that he is fully on board with Tom.
Well, he is, and then, obviously when he's dying, he said, Tom, are you watching over me, and all that stuff.
Okay.
And even if that's the case, still, think, because we know, the Flock Squawk, they're not necessarily, they're with Aaron. The only thing that Zeke really has going for him that I know for a fact of is Aaron, Yelena. I don't even know if the rest of the anti-Marlians, like you were talking about, I don't know if they are worship Zeke like everyone else.
That's a good point.
And while Aaron is definitely the biggest, he's the queen on the chessboard and all of that, but it's still just one piece. How deep was that? Fuck.
Deep.
Woo! Clip that, chat.
Well, and if Aaron really does have the final say, what makes Zeke, if Zeke fully starts to trust him, what makes it be like, well, Aaron could just change his mind?
Here's what, at some point, something has got to go completely off the rails. And this is just me using the most basic viewer of television that I know how. Okay? We have not talked about this. I don't know if we've... The rumbling is happening. Not a display, not a 10%, we'll send, the 1/8 of the quadrant of Wall Maria out there.
We'll send 10 colossals.
No. The whole fucking rumbling is going on because you don't talk about that shit for 4 seasons and then get to the end and be like, oh, remember that Titan we showed in the wall at the end of season 1? We're not doing anything with that. So I don't know how it's going down, but the rumblings have, and I don't know what that looks like because...
Yeah. There's so many fucking moving pieces that get it, moving pieces, colossal titans, they're all moving. And also, what was it in season 1 when that colossal titan's face was showing? They're like, oh, don't show it to the sun. Could they theoretically just tear some of the wall down and it would just start walking automatically? Or how does that work? Or does it have to be the founding titan?
Yeah, I don't know.
Which I guess it's made... I don't know. I
don't think they can get through it.
That's a good... Yeah, there's no way they would tear down all the walls physically. It would have to be through the founding.
I mean, it's an entire wall built of the same material that Annie kicked kicked Aaron's head off with. They sealed an entire side of the gate. Like, I don't think they can. It's just got to come down, and it will come down some way, somehow.
So you think it's 1,000% happening?
1,000%.
You're not leaving any room for it not to.
No, I always make fun of you for doing the 1,000% thing, but here I'm going. If you set that up, that is like when Isayama's sitting at home writing this.
You think that's the first thing he came up with?
I'm not saying that's the first thing, but as he's coming up with it, you're thinking of like, oh, how is this thing gonna end? It's it's just any show ever that they come up with like the big set piece. How many times has he thought about thousands of colossal titans just running around? Like, you can't put that in there and then just never happen.
Okay, well,
but that's the thing. It's such a little part of the plan, right? They just mention it in passing, like, oh, a display of the rumbling to keep people in check. I don't exactly know how. That's like Zeke's got to go crazy, Aaron's got to go crazy. I don't know, because that's the other thing. It seems like Aaron's got to be the one to do it, right? It's got to be a founding titan.
Tom said to Zeke, you have no say in it. You're essentially the key to the lock, and as soon as you unlock it, it's up to the person that holds it.
I don't know how it happens, but
oh man, it's and then we got Zeke's blown in half inside of a Titan's belly right now that's split open. So how Aaron can't touch Zeke, and then we'll talk about this too. I wanted to talk about Zeke being a kid. I mentioned this to you earlier. Zeke essentially was the kid that Aaron's crazy ass fucking balls to the wall mindset when he was a 10-year-old kid is the mindset that Grisha wished that Zeke had in Marley. Mm-hmm. I love the parallel there. Yeah. After rewatching it, I guess
about that earlier. Yeah,
I noticed it the first time, but after rewatching it again, Zeke is like, he says, he's like, well, as long as I can just, play baseball with my boy Tom, I can live a happy life here. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And Aaron, you go to episode 1 of Aaron, and he tells Hannes, he's like, we're just fucking cattle and walls, just waiting to die. We need to fight back. They're the exact opposite.
Exact opposite.
And what else is funny is Grisha, from what we've seen, I guess we didn't see all of Aaron's childhood, Grisha did not raise Aaron to be like that. Grisha tried to raise Zeke to fight back. Aaron, that was just...
I'm sure he learned, partially learned from his mistakes, and two, they were in a different setting. He couldn't tell Aaron, or else it was going to endanger him. But the fact that he was also still right there at the end being like, if you do this, I'll show you the basement. I bet that's still earlier than he really had planned on. Although he was getting ready to go be a cadet, so maybe not. But yeah.
That's a good point, too. You get better raising your second kid.
Exactly.
Until you inject them with Titan serum, have them eat you.
Then it can kind of get a little wonky. Yep. All right, you got more stuff before?
I think that's all I had in the notes.
Okay, so then we can talk about this. You talking about how Zeke's in the belly of he's half of Zeke, if even, in the belly of a Titan. What happens 2 days from now, Sunday?
Oh, God.
It's...
There's no way the episode starts with Aaron just fucking Reiner up or something, right? Fighting Reiner, Porco, and Peak all at once. Does it start like that, or do we start with a flashback?
Right. That's my whole point. Is it seems like at the moment Zeke's out of commission, so we've just got what we've got here right now. I mean, Armin's in a jail cell.
He's useless.
They can do something to get him out of that, but for the time being, yeah, Aaron is here with Peak, Porco, Colt. Is that it?
Peak, Porco, Colt. Well, you mean Reiner? Reiner's in the Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And then
cult.
Cole, I was like, what?
Yeah. Hey,
Cult. Remember that guy's parachute.
Hey, Aaron, don't worry about the cult. Reiner, worry about Reiner.
Remember that guy's parachute's not deploying; he's dying on impact.
Exactly.
I think maybe we get Levi, see if he's alive or not.
See, I think Levi doesn't come back into the pit. Well, you just mean in the episode?
Yeah,
or you're talking about like the fight at.
No, I just meant maybe the episode we get to see if Levi's alive or not.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that where honestly I could be cool with it either way. If they do it the right. If we just get like a Levi episode, seeing him like deal with whatever he's got going on, give us a little bit more of his mindset, because what is it right now?
Well, it's either blown to shreds or it's still intact.
No, I mean like think about him in season 4. The way I would describe Levi in season 4 is...
So you think he's alive no matter what?
He's alive.
Okay.
His whole thing in season 4 was he lost Erwin. He did what he thought was right, and now Hanji's commander, and I feel like Levi hit this wall where he was just tired. And one of the only things I felt like that was keeping him going was Zeke and the Beast Titan. Like he was going through he was doing what he needed to do, and maybe what I'm saying is not completely correct because he did have the moments where he acted like he was mad at Aaron for
or he's like, oh,
protecting Historia and stuff like that.
And he was basically like, wow, I fought for this Aaron guy this entire time, lost all of my comrades, and this is the shit that happens. Like,
yeah. So I could be wrong because, I mean, Levi being tired, you could be saying that through the entire series because that's just the way he portrays himself. But I'm kind of interested to see if they give us any more of Levi.
And I like that because if he would have killed Zeke there, would he have any motivation for anything else? He finally did the last thing he promised Erwin. It's kind of like Erwin. If Erwin really got to the basement and found the truth, would he have motivation to continue on? Mm-hmm. We'll never know, but that's the same thing with Levi. If he really killed Zeke right there, which we don't think he did because Zeke got put into a belly of a Titan, would he really have the motivation to be like, oh, I'm going to just keep fighting?
Yeah.
Or not?
And, I mean, Zeke is still alive, so maybe that's enough to just make him keep going everything's going on. And, yes, he is trying to help us get to what he thinks the right thing is, but it's also just to get to Zeke. I don't know. I just feel like so much of what he was doing is we never really got into his character as much as we were just like, yeah, he's just going along with he's being nice and doing what Hanji says, and he kind of he's got a rage boner for Zeke.
Yeah.
What is that it, or is there more to it?
Oh, that's good. That's really good. I think I would like there to be more to it. I don't want Levi. I would hate for him to go out like that, just caring about Zeke and then not even being able to do it. That would kind of suck. It would be ironic, but...
And at this point, where did we lose him kind of in the timeline? How much... What does he know about Aaron exactly? He knows that Aaron left...
the cell. He was informed that Aaron left the cell, and Aaron has a group called the Jaegerists.
'Cause he was just in the woods. Yeah, and he got that report before Zeke started to run away, and they had chased in the woods.
And he was basically like, I'm going to cut Zeke up and feed him to one of the Jaegerists before they can do anything. Okay. And obviously his plans were stopped.
All right.
And then we got Flock and Hanji. They heard the Thunder Spear in the last episode. Yep. So they're nearby.
Yep.
They're nearby. Dude, think about this, though. Oh, God, dude. If they do find Levi and he's severely injured, does Flock the cock just shoot him right then and there? Think about how big of a cock Flock is. How would he not do that?
I refuse to believe that Flock kills Levi.
If they did that, I might turn on Flock. He's right now. He's,
Yeah, that might be the final straw.
right now, he's up. He's
You've
up
got
a list.
this low-key rage boner to get Levi out as soon as possible. You've held the candle for a long time. Every time we talk about Levi, you go, "But is he even alive?" And now you're like, "Well, what if Flock shoots the first episode?"
I don't know.
What you got going on over there?
I don't know, man. I just feel like his story is done.
Never once have you ever, in the past year, have you ever looked at me and been like, "Dude, what do you think's going on with Levi in season 4?" You're always like, "Well, Levi's dead."
I'm always like, "Do you think Flock's gonna get the founder?"
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, and I'm glad I remembered this. I watched this with my dumbass roommate Kyle yesterday.
God, that guy's such a dumbass.
It was the Tom Sava episode. Tom, we talked about this last podcast, I'm sure. Tom says he's a researcher. You know, my Titan's not very useful in battle. Mm-hmm. How in the fuck is it not useful in battle? Like Zeke is okay. He doesn't have the royal blood, so he can't do the screen techniques. Zeke is obviously, that's why he's the war chief. He's got all these crazy abilities. Mm-hmm. But if he can still throw shit like Zeke, he obviously plays baseball.
Right. And I think they've even said, like, was that not a thing? I was getting ready to say maybe Zeke brought that element to the Beast Titan, but then
he might have.
But then I felt like I remember that being like a straight up thing when one of the early episodes when they have like flashback and they show and they talk about all the different Titan abilities. I feel like they even said like
the Beast normally isn't good.
No, that it's like good at throwing projectiles.
Oh.
But Zeke was it at that point, so maybe they realized that that's what.
What? Yeah, because wasn't it Colt that was like?
Because I can see what he means by not good at bat. Because it's like kind of slow and long. We've seen Levi gets close up to that thing 2 times. He's fucking, which it's Levi, but he's not had any hard time with it. It's kind of a joke.
That is true. It's not like that thing can run.
It's not as bad as the Colossal Titan, but it's very lengthy. And have you seen that belly? I don't think it's like a Attack Titan or Armor Titan where it's just fisticuffs and just punching things.
Speaking of bellies, though, Grisha's Titan, Attack Titan, had a huge belly. So maybe it was just Tom's was just way different. It was just like
that's true too. Yeah. Because do you see Ymir's Jaw Titan?
Yeah.
So Titans aren't. That's interesting. How has that never happened before? Like, say someone had gotten the Jaw Titan and it ended up being exactly like Ymir's. How do they go? We'll just keep that for 13 years instead of being like, all right, retry, get another person in here.
Maybe they have done that. Maybe that's why their years don't align, because not all of them got it at the same time. Like Zeke got his beast, I think, before Annie and them got theirs. Maybe that is.
It could be.
Yeah.
But I've just based off of. It sounds like Tom completely. He made it seem like he was completely useless other than just using it for paths to figure stuff out.
And that's probably why they kept him. They're like, oh, you know some information. Yeah. We'll get some of it out of you. Because if you look at Grisha's, if that guy wasn't in a cave fighting the Founding Titan, he's getting his ass kicked.
Hell, the owl was just chopping off fingers for 12 years. He didn't do shit.
You hate the owl. I think the owl did more than anybody in the show.
My God, no. He typed in www.paths.com one time, saw the front page, said something about save Mikasa and Armin, and then just fucking chilled chopping fingers for 12 years until literally a young boy pointed at his father and Grisha fell in his lap and he was like, oh shit, here you go.
That's not true.
That's exactly what happened.
That's not true. He formed a whole group and then brought in a royal blood.
No, that guy was lazy as shit. The owl.
A young boy. He's like,
more like
he goes
more like the hibernating bear. That guy sucked.
He sees Zeke as a kid point at the the officers, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I better do something now."
Ymir did more with her Titan. Have a Titan for 13 years. And the guy did nothing. I want to say the time that he turned into a Titan when we saw him with Grisha, that was the 5th time he'd ever done it. That was the 5th time he'd ever even turned into a Titan.
Well, think about it. That you might be right on that, because when would he do it if he was a fucking officer?
Yeah, they didn't send him to battles. They were like,
No.
they're like, yeah, you just keep hanging out with Gross.
That's so.
And then Tom got into Zeke's ear and said, you got to tell on your shitty parents. And then he did. And then maybe Tom sent him a letter and was like, hey, no. And then Grisha just fell into his lap. He was like, oh, wait, you're part of, I've seen you around the club hall before. You're part of my group, right?
I'm trying to think when the owl did do that. He fucked up those ships, the one thing that he did do.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they obviously knew he fucked up those ships, right? Or they knew, they were like, what the hell? These ships didn't return?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there'd be a way for them to figure out.
Okay. That
Because, they lost they keep pretty close eye on the Titans, so they had to know. They were on Zeke's shit quick.
Wait, what do you mean? They didn't know about the Attack Titan, though. Was that what are you saying?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I think that's exactly what it is. They had zero idea what happened.
They didn't know about it.
No, I think they had zero. Even when the ships that just didn't return, that sent off Grisha and his group.
Yeah,
they were probably like, did they just sink? Because
yeah.
they would have no way of knowing.
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
You got anything
Great
else?
Times.
Let's think about characters. Or any?
Let's talk about your favorite episode of the season. We probably talked about that before, but now that on the rewatch, I might have changed mine.
I thought you were going to talk about my other favorite, very useful character, and by useful I mean very useless. And I don't hate him, but I was starting to sniff his bullshit near the end of season 4, and that is one Connie. How is he still here?
Connie Springer. Dude, you don't. You're such a hater, bro. I've said that about you for a long time.
This is all I'm saying. The guy who voices Connie is the luckiest mother. Every time he gets a script, he's like, all right, is this it? And he's been doing that the past 70 episodes, and he's just happy to be here in season 4, part 2. He's like, I cannot. He's like, do you know how many Titan kills I actually have, or anything that I've actually? The fact that I'm still here is amazing.
So there is one There's one moment Connie does do something, and that is when he puts one spear into Reiner's jaw. That is the only time he's ever done something. But yeah, you are kind of right on that. He's
like, I've been zipping around for 7 years. I have 4 Titan kills.
But you got to feel bad for the guy, because he's probably Aaron was his friend, and Zeke turned his whole family into Titans.
That part I do feel. I mean, I felt for him there. I don't think he gives a well, he might a little bit. He was the first to turn on Aaron.
But that's why, though, because Aaron, he's like, oh, Zeke killed my entire family, and now Aaron's just siding with him. He's like, what an asshole.
Yeah.
And
but
Sasha,
he also there was no
Sasha. He's like, oh, he laughed at Sasha, even if that's what he didn't directly do. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
But you are kind of right. He's kind of just there. He's just there.
I mean, at this point, he's kind of winning me over. Just keep the fact that he just can keep sliding by and having 1 to 5 lines every episode is great. I think just keep him around.
Yeah, he's just lucky that he's friends with Jean and Mikasa and them, or he would have died episode 7.
He's just been looking around. He's like the guy who's doing the voice acting. He's like, all right, we've lost. He's like, holy shit. We've lost Bert. We've lost Marco. We've lost Sasha. We lost Moblet. And I am still just, here I am in the jail cell.
Thank you for mentioning Moblet.
Oh, yeah. Moblet is one of my ride or dies. Are you kidding me?
I still wish to this day, I've always said, I respect women. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things I've pretty much said since I was born. So I want Hanji to be mine, but I would like her to be happy with Moblet.
My relationship with Moblet is this. You ever see those stories of those guys who say, for example, Moblet marries Hanji, okay? He's a great husband. They have kids. He gets a terminal illness and dies tragically. 5 years later, I start dating
Like dies
Hanji.
tragically. He has a terminal illness, and then he dies in like a horse carriage accident? Or
Well, no, he
from
just
the
dies.
illness?
He fought it to the very end, and then he dies. This happens in real life. I'm the guy who comes in, hears about Moblet. People tell me stories. Maybe I even knew him for a little bit, but we weren't boys. It wasn't like I was like stepping into my friend's girl, and I just respect him so much that now I'm fucking Hanji and taking care of her children. But I write a book. I'm the one that writes a book about him.
Don't say the F word. Don't say the F word.
Well, I mean, I'm fucking Hanji because that's what my boy Moblet would want me to do. All right.
No, you're making love to her.
Well, sometimes we do that, but other times I just fuck her.
Oh, Hanji.
Respectfully. Just like Moblet would want me to. But do you know what I'm saying?
I know
That's
what
my
you're
relationship with Moblet.
saying, is when you take out the F word, I know exactly
We
what
shared
you're
a wife, but I like that. I love that guy so much that I write a book about him, and if he were to come back to life, I'd be like, you know what, dude? This one's all, I'll just see my way out.
Yeah.
Or I might even like him so much that I go, you want to try this out? See how this goes?
Like you and him, like with each other? Or?
Just all three.
Oh, all three. Okay.
I mean, Hanji would be down. That's not.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, buts about that.
That one-eyed wonder.
Nice.
So so back to my question. What was your favorite episode?
I got a little turned around on that. I mean, what sticks out to me is the Zeke one.
Okay.
Soul Salvation.
I think of Declaration of War.
Okay.
Love Willie Tiber's speech. Just an awesome blonde-haired man.
Yeah.
And then and him and Reiner obviously talking. And then the Zeke
Willie
one.
really came and went.
Oh, and
Children of the Forest.
yes, the one
That one going back and watching was the one where I was like, holy shit, I forgot how this episode started and never stopped.
So good. Such a good because we start obviously at the restaurant. The whole incident with Gabby, Falco, and Nicolo is just awesome. Mr.
Right.
Browse, one of the MVPs of the entire show.
Yep, you love Mr. Brown. I love him too.
And then you got Aaron walking in randomly, sticking his hand up. You got my boy Flock, the Flock founder.
The classic shush.
The classic show. One of the most memeable points in the entire show.
Oh my god, incredible.
And then you got Aaron saying, I really want to talk to you guys.
Yep.
And the eagerness to watch the next episode after seeing that is just... I think I was the most excited for that next episode.
And then we didn't.
Then we did.
Another extra week.
Because the Japs don't know how to handle an earthquake.
That was your very controversial take. Yes. Everyone was okay.
Those 3 episodes, though, yeah.
Wow, yeah. No, good call. And then, I mean, obviously, yeah. It was a good season. Where rank the seasons thus far? 3's obviously number 1.
Do you go
4 and 1 or 1 and 4?
Do you count 3 part 2?
Ooh, interesting.
Do you split that, or do you just put that as a whole?
You could, but then if you do that, do you do that same thing with season 1?
No, yeah, I guess I go 3 because the second part of 3 is just incredible.
We can do that also with like a series wrap up. That's kind of hard to think about on the spot, but
I'll say it really quick. 3, 4, 2, 1. I'll put 1 last.
Really? Okay.
But for me though, the 2 and the 1 are very close.
I've always been like this, and 2 is better once you know. I will say that 2 is better once you get the answers and you go back and watch it. But as someone who's rewatching with Travis and remembering how I felt the first time through, season 2 is frustrating to get through because you hit a certain point where 4 Titans get revealed in the span over season 1 and season 2 combined in a span of like 5 or 6 episodes without me completely counting, or not that little. You just...
I think it is close to that. Yeah.
Well, it's like Annie's what? That's 23 or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And then you get Ymir, and then you get Bert and Reiner, and you're like, holy fuck. Like, every half the characters now are Titans that I've come to know.
Yeah.
And you're like, is everyone a Titan? But then the reality is that's fucking 4 out of
and then you already know
7 of them.
You already know about Aaron.
Yeah.
And then Zeke, you don't know Zeke yet, but you assume the Beast Titan is one of them.
Yeah.
So you've already got pretty much all of them right there.
But you don't know that. You don't know how many there are, so you're like, just everyone just a fucking Titan? And there's just a lot of questions. But going back, it is better, so I can kind of see why you'd put 2, and there's obviously awesome moments. But
oh, and then the last thing I want to talk about, sorry, one more thing before we... You mentioning that just made me think, is the reason that... So Annie joins the military police because she wants an easy life, but she also wants to investigate, I'm assuming, the founding Titan, see if it's there.
Okay.
Because they know when Aaron turns, okay, we'll talk about it. Aaron turns, they find out Aaron's a Titan, and they're like, well, obviously this fucking dimwit is not the founder. They're like, we know there's 2 Titans left. Because they know about all the Titans. They're like, oh, there's an attack Titan, and then there's the founding Titan. Aaron is probably the attack Titan.
Yeah.
They're like, we still got to find the founding.
Because do you see the way that Mr. Friendly Nice Guy's running around town?
Yeah.
He is an attack Titan.
And he's an idiot. He doesn't even know anything. So they're like, okay, Annie's going to go to the military police, and then Erwin makes that speech. Is the only reason that Bert and Reiner join the scouts because Aaron is in the scouts now? So they go with Aaron to be like, oh, well, let's just make sure he's not the founder. And then Erwin's like, oh, we also got this basement.
Yeah, I'm sure that they were partially like, we've got to keep an eye on Aaron. It'd be kind of interesting to hear about some of that stuff. Because I bet that's about the way it went down. Is Annie already was keeping clear pretty much completely of them for the most part. So she was like, you two share a sleeping bag with them. I'll go chill in the military police. But then there's still like her going out. That's so crazy too. The fact that she like got out of Walsina and went all the way to wherever they were. That's a fucking mission in itself.
Yeah. That's why it showed that episode of her just like sleeping for a day.
Yeah.
She was so fucking exhausted.
All right.
Good talk. How long did we talk?
Hour and a half.
Wow.
We're hyped.
I think we talked a lot right there too, because we rewatched this season, but we haven't really talked about it. We've kind of avoided it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a long wait. You don't want to get too hyped too soon. You blow your load. Unless you got anything else to say, I think this is the perfect way to kind of wrap this up. Chad, there is no way this ends well.
No. Just talking about Aaron crying in the first episode makes me think I know he cries 1 million times in the first season, but it's not going to end well.
Yeah, it can be an exciting ride, and we might enjoy, the writing and how it ends, but it's not going to end well.
Yeah, I don't care if it's a happy ending. I don't care if it's a sad ending, or even if it turns out happy. As long as it's just something that...
As long as they stay true to the characters and it makes sense.
And we still got a lot of story left. Just make the rest of the story just fucking awesome, please.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, well, we'll be here.
And Isayama, if you don't, we're coming for you.
We're coming for you. We'll find you. We are 2 podcasters with great skills. We will find you. I have been Ronnie.
I've been Chazzy.
You can email us all through Season 4 Part 2 at thepodcastchronicles@gmail.com. Join the Discord in the description below. Subscribe to Chad on YouTube.
Yes,
and
please.
by that, I mean it's our channel, but Chad handles it, and it's kind of a train wreck over there, so I'm disassociating myself.
We've got 5 views on the last video, so let's up that.
It's doing great. All right. Follow us on Twitter at podcastchronic. We good?
We Gucci. Love you guys.
People who want to advertise, hit us in the inbox. Peace.
Peace.